on these legal cases. Jenna, great to see you.
Great to see you too, John.
All right, so what does this investigation, and now that William Barr has finally surfaced and he's getting involved, what does this mean now moving forward?
Well, I think that this legitimizes the fact that the allegations are substantial and they're serious. And listen, every American should want to make sure that election fraud, especially when it's outcome determinative, is investigated and handled appropriately. I mean, and so for William Barr and the Department of Justice to get involved, election fraud at this level poses a national security threat. And this is something where the DOJ's actions, they will follow the facts where they lead. And that's the obligation and responsibility of the Justice Department, like every other prosecutor. I've been a prosecutor before, and this is not about a specific interest in an outcome. It's about making sure that you follow the facts and the evidence where it leads. And shouldn't every American want that? For the Democrats and the mainstream media and these liberal pundits who are somehow saying that this is partisan politicking, that is absolutely ridiculous and absurd. Every American should want to have confidence in the legitimacy of our elections, and they're the same people that floated this Russia collusion narrative for 3 years without one shred of evidence. There is more evidence in all of the cases in the 6 states that we're looking at for fraud and for irregularities than they ever had in the 3.5 years they pushed the Russia collusion hoax and then also the impeachment hoax.
You know, given the kind of gravity of the allegations here, Jenna, you'd think that the top law enforcement official in the country would at least make a statement that he's aware of what's going on and he's on the case before we saw him surface yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, well, and I think that like a normal, regular prosecutor does, you know, he's taking his time. I mean, we are only 1 week out from the election. So this is actually happening pretty rapidly in terms of the lifespan of typical litigation. And of course, you know, we need to do this on an urgent and expeditious basis. But the American people need to understand that this also takes time to make sure that all of the evidence is verified, it's accurate, and that everyone knows what's going on, and of course that the court has time to intervene and look at this. And so that's why, you know, Justice Alito last week making sure to issue that order that the ballots in Pennsylvania that are late need to be segregated. That was an appropriate move to say, you know what, we need to preserve the chain of custody, we need to preserve the evidence, and then we will see where this leads to.
All right, we'll talk more about the Pennsylvania lawsuit in a second, but I want to also respond to, or get your response to the Republican Party finally, you know, getting involved here. I know the Senate finally got back in session yesterday. Mitch McConnell speaking about this for the first time. This was actually after he had met with the Attorney General. Here is the Senate Majority Leader.
The President has every right to look into allegations and to request recounts under the law. Let's not have any lectures, no lectures about how the President should immediately, cheerfully accept preliminary election results from the same characters who just spent 4 years refusing to accept the validity of the last election.
Again, you know, Jenna, a lot of folks wanted to hear this type of statement from Mitch McConnell sooner.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, some of these Republicans are a little bit late to the game, but that's where, you know, this continuing mounting evidence and also the mounting pressure on Republicans to back the call from President Trump for a legitimate, accurate count is so important. I mean, this is not about just overturning election results or campaigning or politicking for President Trump. This is about protecting election integrity. So I'm glad to see that Mitch McConnell's made this statement. I'm glad to see that other Republicans are backing election integrity efforts. And if the Democrats had any integrity themselves, they would also recognize that this is important to the future of the nation, not just the outcome of this election.
All right, Jenna, just about 1 minute left. I wanted to talk to you about the latest in Pennsylvania. Where does this case go from here? I know you guys officially filed the lawsuit yesterday. What's the big crux of this case?
The big call for relief that we're asking for from the court is that the election results in Pennsylvania should not be certified until we get an accurate count. And there are multifold issues of irregularities in Pennsylvania. You know, of course, we know the 3-day late ballots that we just talked about, but also this 2-tiered system. What happened in a lot of Democrat-led counties is that they were canvassing early before Election Day, and they were curing or trying to cure some of these mail-in ballots that were deficient and asking people to come to the polls and cast a provisional ballot in person so that if their mail-in ballot had some irregularity for whatever reason, person, their vote would actually count. The GOP actually followed the rules and didn't do that. And so we have that issue among other things. And so we want to make sure this is a fair and accurate count. There's no issues with how the Democrats operated, access to counting the ballots. All of these things are incredibly important in Pennsylvania. We want to make sure that they do not certify